Good evening and welcome to Politics on Sunday. I am Femi Akonde. We are still closely watching developments in the landlocked Niger Republic and how the military coup plotters are coping with tough sanctions slammed on them by ECOWAS. But let me tell you a statement of fact. The military junta in Niger Republic did not issue a 48-hour ultimatum to Nigeria's ambassador to leave the country. They ordered only the French ambassador to leave and not the German, US or Nigerian envoy. But the coup plotters' fractured relationship with the economic community of West African states continue to get worse as they become more alienated from the international community. President Bola Tinubu, as chairman of the Authority of Heads of State and Government of ECOWAS, told the Council of Ulamas that visited him during the week that the actions of the military coup plotters remains unacceptable and ECOWAS insists on a return to civilian rule. The Ulamas have been mandated to return to Niger Republic in a last-ditch effort to resolve the political standoff. But if they fail, then the use of force might be inevitable, with the standby force already activated and ready to strike. The All Progressives Congress has inaugurated new members of the National Working Committee to fill up vacant positions. But this did not come without a bit of controversy, especially as the governor of Kogi State, Ajibola Basiru, personally marched into the residence of the APC National Chairman to pour out his grievance over the emergence of two names from Kogi State to fill up the slots. But it seems the national chairman of the party was able to paper over the cracks and ensured it was a win-win situation for the two camps in the Kogi APC power tussle. There's also another disagreement over the position of the national women leader of the APC, as Cross River State alleges they have been shortchanged. All of these have come at a time when the party sets its sight on the off-cycle election, which will be the litmus test for the leadership of the former Kano State Governor Abdullahi Ganduje, who is barely 1 month in office as national chairman of the APC. Okay, well, my guest today is the National Secretary of the All Progressives Congress, Senator Ajibola Basiru. Welcome to the program, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Yes, and this is 3 weeks after your emergence as the National Secretary of the party. How has work been so far? I believe you're finding out now that party politics is different from legislative business.
Actually, you cannot say that in totality, because to even having to get elected in the first instance, you must also play some party politics. But of course, the focus of the party is different from that of the executive, which have been, and also the legislative arm. Yeah. The party is to aggregate different kind of interest and ensure that these interests are harmonized, and they of course prepare the party ahead of every election and ensure that the party is in a very good state in terms of resolution of conflict and ensuring that party leaders and stalwarts continue to work towards the goal of retaining power by the party.
You know, you talked about resolving little crises. Some people say one of the causes of this crisis is because the party, after its emergence at the polls in the 2023 presidential election, has not really rewarded people who worked for its victory. You know, they say the reward system within the APC is poor. We are beginning to hear complaints. We have even seen different pressure groups inside the APC hold press conferences to talk about that reward system, because they feel there are people who should get certain appointments and not some of the people I would like to call eggheads without prejudice to their competence and capacity now, who have been maybe nominated or appointed as ministers.
First and foremost, the purpose for which a party and the president is elected is to run good government for the people of Nigeria. So if that is the case, the first reward, which is imperative, is that of good governance and security and welfare of the people. And as you can see, Mr. President has started on a good note, seeking to recalibrate the Nigerian economy towards productive path. As to those who have worked for the party, first, it must be stated that not everybody who has put in one effort or the other will be can be accommodated in the process of governance. But the main reward is actually in ensuring that the president deliver on the Renew Hope agenda. Yeah. Then, so far, what are the appointments that have been made are basically those personally working with Mr. President. I think like a dozen special advisor, and of course, the minister. There is still the boards of and the heads of agencies and management to be filled in that regard. Of course, when that is also to be filled, you have to make a balance between political expediency and competence. You want to run a government that is efficient. You want a government that is able to deliver on our campaign promises. So you need competent people to be able to do that. So I think it is too early in the day to talk about a reward system under President Bola Tinubu being poor, because there are still so many hundreds of positions to be filled in government, and I believe that the president would involve party at the level of the state and at the national level in ensuring that we have competent men and women to steer the ship of governance.
Okay, then let's talk more about issues within the party. Just Friday night, your party, the APC, inaugurated 6 new zonal officers into the National Working Committee. We saw the whole drama and controversy that generated with some states, chapters of the party kicking against the people who they see have been selected to fill this vacant position. It does appear as if due diligence and wide consultation was not done before reaching this, before settling for these candidates.
First, I must correct, it's not zonal positions that were filled up. With 6 positions in the National Working Committee, yeah, who are also going to be member of the National Executive Council of the party, and they're also zonal organizing secretary of the North Central region. Yeah. And of these 7 positions that were filled, yes, there were issues raised by some stakeholders, but it has not generated to the level of crisis. And that was why when the swearing was done, evening yesterday, it was done in an atmosphere of conviviality and the atmosphere of joy at the secretariat. And of course, issues in politics, everybody also wants to have a take in position. I think few areas where issues were raised and based on broad consultation was resolved. On the position of filling that of the position of the national women leader, which Idado was occupied by now Honorable Minister Betta Edu from Cross River State. Cross River politicians and leaders felt that the position should be retained in Cross River, but it's a zonal position, and the Edo State we are going to face an election next year, and we feel that we need to strengthen the party in that place, and that made our leaders to think that the national women leader coming from Edo will strengthen our position in that place ahead of the election. And based on discussion and consultation with the stakeholders in Cross River State, it was agreed that those people that are put forward definitely something will be done in accommodating them.
That's a strategic move
interest, yes.
by the
Then
APC,
also in
Kogi
Kogi State too, there are divergent camps in the state. All of us working towards the same goal. So what was done was to split the position. So one group to take the deputy national public secretary, and the other group to take the zonal organizing secretary, and both of them were sworn in yesterday. So it's except for that, all other positions emerged through consensus of the leaders, like the deputy national chairman, who happened to be a long-time chairman of the party in Borno State, and chairman of of APC for almost about 8 years for now. And of course, the national legal advisor, Dr. Kana, who was an attorney general in Nasarawa State, also emerged by consensus of the zone and in that place. So it's in politics, if everything gets too quiet and too docile, it means that there is really no interest being generated. And of course, it's a high matter of honor for any political grouping to want people in their political grouping to be part of the national leadership of the ruling political party.
But another thing this brings to the fore now is the influence of certain power blocks within the All Progressives Congress. Some people want to say the governors wield so much influence and may not, the leadership of the party, for instance, may not be able to prevail on certain power blocks to let go of their interest in the interest of the party. How will this new leadership, of course led by Governor Abdullahi Ganduje and you as National Secretary, how are you coping with this kind of strong influences, especially coming from governors who themselves are very powerful?
Of course, you cannot discount the influence that governors and the presidents and elected officials have in party politics. The unwritten rule in our party is that governors are leaders, of the party in their own right, in their state. At the same time, political expediency and of course a negotiation will have to take place to ensure that we balance interest and ensuring that whatever decision we take is in the overall strategic interest of the party. And that so far is what we've been doing in the past 3 weeks. And of course, when you have issues, you let dialogue is very important. Then of course letting also people know that you have to make some little sacrifice in the overall interest of the party. And so far,
in a case like this, it makes the leadership of the party appear weak.
The party is always supreme. The party is not weak. Eventually, whatever decision the leadership had taken on filling the vacancy on NWC actually was what really happened. But you need to also politics is not, particularly in a democratic setting, is not dictatorial. So, and the only way you can be able to get your decisions to be able to put forward the synergy necessary in the party is to ensure that you have harmonious resolution of wherever there is conflict. It has something to do with whether the party is weak. The party is not in antagonism with anybody, but the party must be able to aggregate and organize interest and positions in a way that be able to catalyze the party to victory and create a synergy among different stakeholders within the party.
But all of this, how is it affecting the off-cycle election? We know that the party has met with the Progressive Governors Forum and fine-tuning strategies and plans ahead of that all-important election, which will be the first major test for the new leadership of the APC.
In a matter of days, the party leadership will present candidates in the three off-cycle election, Bayelsa, Kogi, and Imo, to be the leader of the party, and that is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And afterwards, we will also unveil the campaign council for those three states. And unlike before, when those campaign councils are inaugurated in Abuja, the new style of leadership is to ensure that we launch those campaign council in the respective states. We believe it will allow the campaign council as well as the leadership of the party to have interaction with stakeholders in those states, and also galvanize party members, getting them rejuvenated ahead of those elections. So we are almost at the dotting the I's and crossing the T's for the campaign council in those elections. And of course, we are going to have a very robust engagement with stakeholders, areas and states where there are some misgivings. We try to balance it, and fortunately we are getting good listening ears from party stalwarts and leaders across the three states. All
right, we'll take a quick break, and when we return, we'll talk more about the renewed hope agenda of the All Progressives Congress. Don't go away, we'll be right back.
Life is politics. In Nigeria, almost every part of our lives is touched by the politics we play. Governance, legislative matters, the economy, security, foreign affairs, internal affairs. Have a feel as strategic plays in the political space determine how we live in Nigeria. The players, the drama, chess piece moves. Be kept informed. Watch analysis of major happenings in the political space and how it affects you. Watch Politics on Sunday.
All right, welcome back. Well, we're still talking about party politics. Our focus is on the All Progressives Congress and the renewed hope agenda of the party. My guest is the National Secretary of the APC, Senator Ajibola Basiru. When a lot of people went to the polls to vote and APC got majority of the votes and President Bola Tinubu emerged as winner, you know, that renewed hope manifesto was what was sold to the people. Everyone had high expectations, but it appears that is not really the case as we speak.
People voted for Ajibola Basiru based on the renewed hope agenda, and in campaigning, he did not miss words that is going to take away the fuel subsidy. Of course, you have a presidency that is still, under 100 days. And I believe that what matter is that you are beginning to lay building blocks upon which the subsequent achievement will be able to manifest in the realization of the renewal agenda. Yeah. Nigerians are definitely groaning under the weight of the removal of first subsidy, and we definitely, as a party in government, must sympathize with our people. But this is a necessary sacrifice that all of us must make. You will know that some oil-producing countries, when they were supposed to make adjustment and reform and did not make it, eventually it got very worse for those countries. You can, for instance, mention Venezuela and, of course, Argentina. We would not want to wait till the situation goes overboard. And from the removal of first subsidy, you have seen a massive savings that are now coming into the purse of government. But of course, you also have to balance releasing this surplus revenue and then the possibility of hyper-gallop inflation. That's why the president and the governors agree that there will be a strategic intervention in terms of road infrastructure, rather than put the money for pure consumption, which will have adverse effect in pushing too much of inflation in the economy. And of course, the floating of the naira is long updated, because the effect of a protection of naira, one, aside the fact that it creates a rentier economy for a few people to just profit from getting access to naira at official rate, it's also serving as disincentive to genuine investment, direct investment, and portfolio investment in the Nigerian economy, because nobody will be sure of how you're able to repatriate your capital and your profit out of Nigeria. So with that bottleneck being removed, you'll be able to see naira at a certain point coming to its real value. Then you have genuine investors coming to invest in the real sector of our economy, and that will catalyze in our development and, of course, a better economic position for our country. So we want to plead with the Nigerian people to bear the challenges that we currently face. And fortunately, the president said he can feel what Nigerians are feeling. But these are necessary sacrifices that we'll be able to put in place, then be able to have resources to address problem in the health sector, to address the problem in the education sector, and of course to engage in massive infrastructure that will catalyze in overall development and economic well-being for Nigerians.
All right, Senator, let me take you back to the issue of appointment of ministers now. You know, there's also this argument that, yes, we know the president can choose whoever he feels is competent and capable of executing the policies of government. Another group within the APC and even some political parties are saying that their politicians are as well professionals before becoming politicians, and you have an abundance of these professionals within the party. So it would they prefer the president looking inward. For instance, there's the APC professional group looking inward into some of those groups to appoint people instead of picking certain people who may not necessarily have a political background, who are not politicians and may not be in tune with the reality at the grassroots.
I like speaking to facts. Yeah. 45 ministers were inaugurated by Mr. President last Monday. How many of them could we really say does not have political background? At the best, they are minority. When you take it, one by one, is it, former women leader of the party, Beta Edu, doctor, or the Minister for Agric, who was immediate acting chairman of our party, or who really are those, or my governor, my former governor, Boyego Itola, or Bayo Adelabu. They are equally professionals, and at the same time, they are also, politicians. Even so, really, you see in the cabinet of Ajibola Basiru, only a handful of people could be said not to have strong political pedigree. So that argument for me is moot and is not rooted in fact. Of course, it's not possible to have all Nigerians to fill a cabinet of 45 persons. So there are still some other, positions in terms of head of agencies, parastatals, and of course board appointments that will also, go, to people who are both competent, because you cannot decountenance competent and also politically, relevant in their areas.
45 members of the Federal Executive Council. Some people have said that this is over-bloated.
You see, Section 5 of the Constitution of Nigeria vested the executive power in the president, and in so vesting it, says that he can exercise that directly or through ministers or other persons. There is no ceiling as to the number of ministers to be put in place, but then there is a minimum irreducible number of ministers, and that is 37. Every state in Nigeria, including the FCT, they have nominees in that place. So if you take 37 from 45, so you have barely how many? So it's about
but when you juxtapose this with the cost of governance, which there's this great advocacy to cut down the cost of governance.
I think the argument, first foremost, was first say that the cabinet is not over-bloated. And that's why you see the way the cabinet has been structured. It's structured in such a way that every minister has a mandate to be able to deliver. And areas where there have been overlap, which will not allow for key performance index to be put in place, Mr. President has been able to streamline. Look at the way it's been done in the health sector. You have the overall coordinating minister. They now have a segmented area in the health sector that can be focused on by the two ministers of state in that regard. You also have the transportation sector, where you have the Ministry of Transport. You also have the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy. And of course, you also see the way the Ministry of Agric has also been put in place. So first and foremost, we don't agree that the ministries are over-bloated and the number of ministers is too huge. Then secondly, on the cost of governance. The truth about cost of governance is that it is not the political appointee that actually takes the chunk of the money that goes to running government.
So
the bulk of the money goes to the civil service bureaucracy and of course the overhead in that regard. So when you look at the 2023 budget that we have now, I think we have about close to about 8 point something trillion or so about going to recurrent expenditure. And then when you look at the bulk of this money, they go really into the civil servants and of course overhead in that regard. So even if you take away all ministers, the saving you are going to make may be slightly insignificant in terms of the cost of governance. So when you want to address cost of governance, you look at agencies, possibility of collapsing some agencies together, and possibility of reducing manpower. But then as a government, you have to be careful when you want to reduce manpower because of cost of governance, because the government also has a role in terms of social welfare. You don't want to retrench people and send them to unemployment market because you want to make a savings, because the adverse economic effect on the people is also going to be large. So the government does not really run strictly on the on the profit and loss basis, but in terms of social welfare and having meaningful impact on the people in society. So as far as I'm concerned, from my experience in governance, the cost of maintaining political appointee is far less significant than the cost of maintaining government bureaucracy in terms of the civil service and the overhead of running government.
Yeah, Senator Ajibola Basiru, you were in Osun State last week where you had this huge reception organized by the members of your party and indeed your people in Osun State. Welcoming you back and felicitating with you on your emergence as National Secretary of the All Progressives Congress. But what does this mean for your party? Because in the last election, yes, your party lost that and has now been pushed to opposition. How does this strengthen your party and improve your chances in of course, future elections?
Of course, you can see, and I must first thank my leaders, Baba Bisi Akonde and former Governor Isako Itola, and the chairman of the Elders Council of our party, Engineer Shola Akinwumi, and our state chairman, Soko Tajudin Lawal, and of course, all party members for receiving me in Oshogbo, last week, Saturday. You see the enthusiasm and the joy by which, our party people came to receive me show that APC in Osun is still up and alive. And of course, there are so many reasons, that occurred why, the last general election went the way it went. But of course, you must know that our party still secure a whooping 348,000 votes in the general election for Ajibola Basiru, and our margin of loss was even far reduced than what occurred during the previous governorship election. Of course, you also witnessed a situation whereby the ruling PDP government in that state killed through their talks more than 31 members of our party, particularly in Ife-Ijesha axis ahead of the election. So the election was done under atmosphere of insecurity. Even in Osun Central, where I came from, a lot of our ballot papers were snatched away in Ila, Ifedayo, and Orulu, and a lot of our supporters were not allowed to cast their ballot. So Nigerians must realize that the loss of the election is not so much about acceptability of our people, but as to the act of brigandage and thuggery on the part of the Ademola Adeleke-led administration. And of course, we sounded a note at that reception that by the grace of Almighty God, our party will rebound and we are going to take over power in Osun in 2026.
Okay, so far there have been accusations and counter-accusations between your party and the All Progressives Congress. That's the All Progressives Congress and the PDP in Osun State. But lastly, have things calmed down between you and the governor after that incident at the praying ground?
I didn't have problem with him. I didn't have problem with the governor. I did not even see him on the Eid grant. I believe that if he had come and pray on the Eid grant, he would have observed his prayer and leave. But apparently he came to do politics and not to pray. I didn't see him on that day, so I don't know whether there was any issue with him. I am one of those community leaders that put resources down for the construction of the Eid. You know, I'm a Muslim, and at the risk of sounding modest, I trained as an Islamic scholar. So I rather concentrate on my worship rather than allow anybody to use praying ground as an arena for politics. So I don't have any problem with him, and of course he is in his own cubicle as a governor. I'm also having my assignment cut out for me as the National Secretary of our party.
All right, thank you so much, Senator Ajibola Basiru, National Secretary of the All Progressives Congress, telling us about the plans and programs of the Governor Abdullahi Ganduje-led APC ahead of the off-cycle elections in Kogi, Bayelsa, and Imo State. Well, that's all on the program this week. Do remember you can watch this episode again on TVC News YouTube channel. My name is Femi Akonde. See you next time.